Greg, thanks for coming down to talk epoxy options for our garage floor.
Hey, no problem, man. Nice to meet you.
I got my daughter with me.
What's her name, if you don't mind?
Her name is Anne Marie, and she is 18 months. She'll be 19 months here soon.
Awesome. Nice.
Yeah, so we're actually getting our garage doors replaced next month. And,
nice.
They're going to be gray on the inside. And I'm looking for something to complement that. I was wondering, hopefully you could take a look around and get some ideas from you.
Yeah, that's no problem, man. Yeah, there's a few different colors. I mean, off the top of my head, there's the color tuxedo, which is good. Okay. It's got gray, black, and white. Pretty much goes with everything.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, it's a good color. You know, more importantly, the condition of the floor and the prep work. I mean, any questions you have, I can tell you all about it right now if you want.
All right, cool. Yeah, let's roll through here in a sec. I know you're a legend in the flooring industry, so I'm just kind of curious to hear your recommendation.
I don't know about that, man. I don't know.
Well, I love your pictures on Facebook.
You know, sometimes people ask me, hey man, how come you always post? And I'm like, well, I post my work. It's like I'm not just posting like I just got a big fat burger and fries, check it out. Hey, I just got a big burrito, check it out. It's more like, this is what I do for a living for the last 8 years.
Yeah.
And people see it. I've gotten jobs from it. It helps promote what we're doing, but kind of the deal why I put it out there all the time.
No, I think it's cool. It's kind of fun. It's giving me some ideas as I've scrolled through. But hey, Greg, go ahead, do your thing. I'll stay out of your hair. I don't know if you got to take measurements or what, but I'll give you, just do your thing.
It appears to be a standard 2-car garage, typically 400 square feet, give or take.
Yeah.
Typically what I do, I work alone. I'm an owner-operator. I don't have employees. I do all the work myself. I used to try to have employees. I went through about 10 people, but it's really extremely difficult to find anybody who wants to work. And then if you do find someone that wants to work, it's really hard to get for them to keep up.
Yeah.
They won't work the same, you know? So I do it myself. Typically grind the floor with a walk-behind grinder. You want to grind the floor. You want to remove about a business card thickness off the top of the floor.
Makes sense.
That way you open up the pores and the product can bond to it.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of these guys will come in like I'll do a typical 2-car garage for like $2,000. That's like a normal price. My competitors are doing it for between $24,000 and $3,000, and that's because they have employees and they have a warehouse and these kinds of things. I don't have any of that overhead. I do it all myself and have pretty good sized property that I keep everything on. So, some of these do-it-yourselfers will come in and want to acid wash it, and that's no good. That just traps the acid in the concrete.
Yeah.
Starts eating away at it. And then they want to use those cheap Home Depot Rust-Oleum garage epoxy kits, which are basically junk.
I've thought about it, and I thought, let's reach out to a professional. So
you grind the floor.
Yeah.
You patch the cracks. Some people are like, there's no cracks, but once you grind the floor, you're going to find some spider cracks here and there. We patch them because it's a roll-on, and you got to patch those. So you patch that, then you put roll out. Typically what I do is I do the curbs, the stem walls, where the wall meets the floor.
Yeah.
Do those first. You don't really have to grind those usually because they're so porous. They're so already, they've already got a good texture like what you're grinding the floor for to get, right?
Sure.
And so you clean them off, and then I just coat them and flake them, vacuum everything, and then I roll the floor out, and then I throw flake. Yeah, 99% of the floors are flake.
Okay.
Every now and again, someone wants a solid color.
So my wife wanted me to ask, is there a warranty that you offer with it?
Yeah, I offer like a 4-year warranty.
Okay, cool.
Here's the deal. There's no such thing as a lifetime warranty because that's a joke. Okay,
Sure.
They're like, you're going to call somebody in 8 years and say blah, blah, blah. They're going to be like, oh, you know what, I don't recall, or blah, 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 or, there's fine print.
Yeah.
The warranties are always about 2 things. It's about defective material and poor workmanship. So if the job looks good when the guy leaves and the next day it's dry, you don't have a warranty. That's bottom line. It sounds lame, but that's how it is. So I go by the typical, hey, I'm going to give a 4-year warranty. Typically, if there's any issues, bubbling or delaminating or anything, that usually will happen inside of 2 years. So I double that.
All right.
Yeah. But my thought process is this. You stay in business through referral.
Yep.
And doing good work. So if someone has a problem with something I did, I'm going to go fix it. And I don't care if it's been, 7 years, because they're going to talk good and I'm going to get jobs from them. That's basically how it works. So.
Yeah, and that's one question I want to ask you, because I got a buddy with a garage, and we were kind of talking about it too, and he's looking for someone. So if he wanted to get a hold of you, would I just tell him to hit you up on Facebook, or is there a better way?
Just my phone number is fine.
Okay, cool.
This is my business phone, my cell phone, so.
Okay, awesome.
people are like, well, don't you get, what if somebody calls and bugs you? Someone calls and bugs me, and then I'll just block their number, they'll never call me again. So.
Love it. Makes total sense. Makes total sense. Hey, I know you're out here for garages, right? I had to talk about my floor, but do you mind if I just ask you a couple questions while you keep looking around a little bit?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I know you've been out of the game a little while, but I'm hoping you might have a little interest on this project I'm working on. It's actually a DIRTWERX bike made by a Livermore boss for Harry Leary.
Yeah.
You were friends with Harry, right?
Yeah, I was friends with Harry since, I've known the guy since I was about 11 years old. Friends with him from the time I was probably 15, 16, all the way towards the end. The last 7, 8 years, I haven't really been in touch. 5 to 6 years, I haven't been in touch a whole lot.
Sure.
But yeah, I've known him a long time. We had a lot of racing together and stuff, so.
See, I've heard that, and I've always wondered how you guys met. Was it at WSA?
Yeah. When I started, I went to WSA, and he raced. It was 14 and over at the time. It wasn't 14, 15, 16. It was just 14 and over. He was riding for JMC. So yeah. I didn't meet him at WSA, but I watched him a lot there. Okay. And then later we met. I don't exactly remember, but you line up with someone, you start racing them, and then you have a few conversations. Probably when I was about 15, I got to know him.
And he used to come over to your house to do gates, right?
Yeah, he used to come when I lived at home. He would come over. Him and Clint Miller and Stuart would come over and do gates 2-3 times a week. And my dad would drop gates, or we would take turns dropping gates. We would basically just go out the driveway, hang a left around the mailbox, turn around the neighbor's driveway, and the little apron of the driveway, ride the sidewalk back in.
Nice. Yeah, because I was going to ask you who was there. So you're saying Clint Miller? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Clint Miller was there. He was there a lot. He was a good dude. He's a good dude. Very cool dude. Good friend of mine.
So I've got to ask, did your wife ever come over to practice gates? Or were, after losing, were you in that, little rascal He-Man woman haters stance at the time?
We were 10 years old.
Okay.
So well before teenage years, when you're 13, it's not the same as when you're 16, 17, so.
Yeah.
But this was when we were younger,
Okay. So I was like, who all would be there? Trying to imagine that.
That was it. Just that. My mom would be inside, and my dad would be at work, and sometimes he'd get home while we were doing it.
Oh, that's way cool.
It wasn't the kind of thing that we were, wanting to have 20 people at. It was a 3-man gate, and there was 4 of us, and you rotated 3 or 4 gates, and you run the gate 3 or 4 times. You just keep rotating so everybody can get time in.
That's the way to do it. Now, I remember hearing a story or seeing, actually I don't think I ever saw a picture of the bike, just doing crazy bike stuff, but Harry once took a bike, turned it upside down, and welded 225 plates to it for the GPV event. Did you ever get into that, or the F1 stuff?
No, I never did that stuff. I didn't do that. During that time, I was hardcore racing.
Yeah.
I was racing for titles during that time, and that's all. You can't do 2 things or you're not going to win a title, basically. You have to be all in. So I never did that.
Makes sense. I've heard that you're the reason that the Leary was created, the jump. And that he was trying to tag your helmet and just got further and further away. Did he ever hit you?
I don't recall that. If he told that story, then is he the one that said that?
I saw that on a podcast. I heard it on a podcast.
And it might have been the deal. It could have been at WSA, they had a pretty good sized jump.
Fair enough.
A big roller on the back straight for the last turn. And,
I think he said he used to like to sit on a tabletop, if I remember specifically.
Yeah, it could have been a little table or a roll. I don't know. It was a pretty good, in that day, it was a good jump on the track. That might have been true. I don't know. It was so long ago. He might have never even told me that. We were friends a long time, and he never told me that. So.
Huh.
But if that's the deal, that's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Because I was gonna say, well, was he boasting about that? Or maybe you can answer that. When he finally got a named jump, was he just going around boasting about that like crazy?
No. I've never even heard him talk about it ever.
No, it's actually really cool to hear.
Yeah.
Oh, another quick question I asked about the floors: the temperature and humidity issues. Is there anything to worry about that with your floors?
In terms of the install, or just
no? We live in a humid area, so is that going to be an issue? What caused that to look more so than a dry area?
Once it's cured out, it won't matter what the weather is. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
During the process, the weather, you always have to be concerned of the weather.
Yeah.
I don't use epoxy.
Okay.
I use what's called polyaspartic.
Oh, okay.
Most people never heard of it, so if I was polyaspartic surface professionals, I probably would be out of business.
Yeah.
People don't know what it is. but it's a better product. It performs better. When you get below 50 degrees, epoxy almost stops curing. You know, it's just kind of like it takes 50 degrees or hotter. And
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you're doing polyaspartic, you don't have such limitations. It cures quicker. If it is massively humid, if it's like 80% humid out, you don't want to pour it because it won't perform properly. It'll cloud up a little bit. It's not a problem. But
that makes sense.
For the most part, it's a good product. And 40 degrees out or 100 degrees out, I can work with that material. It's not a problem.
Perfect. That works. One word to describe Harry Leary as a friend.
He's just intense.
Love it.
Even if doing practical jokes, he's pretty intense. Yeah, for sure.
Is there a favorite joke, prank that he pulled that you don't mind sharing?
I don't think it was more like pranks. It was more like mutual stuff that you do. Just guys doing stuff. I mean, we would be on tour. One time I remember our vehicle going down Interstate 40 and Diamondback was coming up, Harry was driving, and then just like a food fight on the highway where you're just throwing bananas and all kinds of crap on their windshield and on the side of their bed, and they're trying to throw it on you.
I love it. Ann loves it too, Greg. Ann loves it too.
That's kind of stupid stuff, but
okay, that's awesome. I love it. And then with regards to BMX legend, Harry has a BMX legend. Do you have a word that can describe him?
I just kind of fall back to the whole intense deal because, you know, he likes to, he has to hate his competition.
Yeah.
He has to get all fired up, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like hate's kind of a strong word, so I just think it's intense. He just is super intense, man.
Okay, that makes sense. And I've heard similar stories from his own mouth. And I guess that kind of leaves the question is, did he owe you a last trip into a wall, or did you owe him a last trip into a wall?
I never, to be honest,
yeah.
I never really had any issue with Harry.
I was thinking in fun.
We were, I don't know how to say this without, I don't want it to sound stupid or like weird, whatever, but
yeah.
You get into a situation where you're racing and the only way you're going to have a beef with someone is if you're both on the same part of the track trying to occupy the same space at the same time and someone does something shitty.
Yeah.
I've had situations like that with people that have run me off the track, and I've had situations like that where people have been respectful, and so I never had any drama with Harry, so I can't really say I owe him one, you know what I mean? Like
Fair enough.
Like I'll give you an example. Pete Lonkarevich kicks my tire at the 85 NBL Grands in the semi and I crashed. 2 months later at the ABA Grands, I ran him off the track in his semi, in the third main, and if I didn't do that, he would have won the number one plate, as it was Ronnie Anderson won. So it's like, you get even with people for what they do, but none of the people that I'm close with, Stu, Clint, Harry, Rube, any of these dudes, they never kicked my front wheel going into a turn, you know?
Sure.
I don't know, I never did. When I got out on the track myself, I just focused on what I was doing, and if someone was ahead of me, they were more or less just in my way is how I looked at it, so it wasn't a personal thing. I never had any beef with Harry at all, really.
Yeah, it's kind of what I've heard. It's really cool to hear your side of things here, so I appreciate that.
No worries, man.
And so you switched from BMX to doing the floorings. It sounds like you're happy, and it sounds like you believe it was the right decision. If someone was to do something similar, would you recommend that?
I mean, it's all relative, you know. It depends. Like for me, I was in the BMX industry, which, you know, really sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, the BMX hobby is fantastic.
Yeah.
But the BMX business is horrible. There's probably, you know, like even some of the companies that are big in BMX, whatever you consider big to be, the ones that are doing better, I would say, they're not making a whole lot of money. I mean, they're making a living, but nobody's getting wealthy off BMX, you know? For me, once I stopped doing BMX and shut GHP down and got into flooring, I mean, right now I earn way more money than I did in BMX, and I have way more time off.
That's awesome.
Like, I'm never gone on the weekends. I'm home every night, and I'm going to jobs making, you know, sometimes in one day more than it took me 2 weeks to make in BMX, and not having anyone say, hey, can you hook me up? What's my price? What's my, you know what I mean? Like in BMX, it's all about the bro price, right?
Yep.
When I go do a floor, I don't ever hear anything like that.
Yeah.
You're just a normal person going to do a service and you get paid, and in BMX, the business is just, It's just so unbelievably terrible.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I've heard, stories of being frame manufacturers and kind of just getting hit up, and the margins aren't great to begin with. So how much can you actually give away for free?
The margins are terrible, and the problem is there's too many frames. When we stopped, there was like 250 different frames on the market,
Yeah.
And like we sold almost like 1,000 frames a year almost, and it was like you're not making any money selling that. Probably, I don't know how many frames the companies that are doing good in BMX sell, but there's nobody selling 20,000 frames a year. They might be lucky to sell 2,000.
Yeah.
I doubt it. And the biggest problem is, like, this is a prime example. When I got out of BMX and shut GHP down completely, we had probably 35 or 40 support teams. They each had like anywhere from 5 to 20 riders. Like my phone never rang. It's just completely stopped. You have people that you think are your friends, and you leave and it's gone, and you don't hear from no one. It's like they're off on somebody else's camp to get free stuff and ask for the hookup,
Oh yeah, no, I understand that from a different industry's perspective, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I wouldn't get back into BMX if somebody offered me all the money in the world. I would not do it.
Man, I'm glad you're happy.
Super happy not being there,
Yeah. Well, hey, I appreciate you taking the time to come on down and talk with me.
No problem, man. It's all good. When you're ready to go, just let me know.
Perfect. Let me talk with the wife. We'll talk about those things we talked about, and then we'll get back with you and hopefully talk again soon.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Thank
you too.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.